SDTM and ADaM are related, but they are not the same thing. Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. If you're a junior SaaS developer or honestly just curious about the back end of clinical trials, we are going to look at the exact data pipeline that literally proves if a brand new drug is actually safe to use. Let's dive right in. So that quote right there, it tackles what is probably the single most common point of confusion in clinical programming. You see, both of these are absolutely vital CDIST standards that the FDA requires, but they serve completely different purposes in the life cycle of trial data. It's like comparing the foundation of a house to the interior design. Related for sure, but definitely not the same thing. To understand how this works, we need to look at the conceptual journey. It's a strict four-step path. We go from step 1, source data, into step 2, SDTM. Then it transforms into step 3, ADaM, and finally feeds into step 4, tables, listings, and figures. It's a very logical flow, so let's walk through it. All right, let's break that down, starting with step 1, source data. This is the raw, totally unpolished information recorded during the trial, mostly collected via case report forms, or CRFs for short. And let me tell you, it is messy. We're talking up to 400 pages long sometimes. There is absolutely no way you could just hand this massive pile over to regulators as is. So that brings us to step 2, SDTM, which stands for Study Data Tabulation Model. Basically, SDTM organizes clinical study data into standardized tabulation structures. Think of it as the ultimate organizer. It takes all that messy raw data and forces it into a super strict row and column format. This way, when reviewers are looking at it, they know exactly where to find what they need. Then we move right on to step 3, ADaM, or the Analysis Data Model. Now, ADaM prepares analysis-ready datasets with derivations and analysis context. It builds right off of SDTM, doing all the heavy lifting and crunching the numbers in a way that's specifically tailored for biostatisticians. If we compare them directly, SDTM with its standardized tabulation structures versus ADaM with its analysis-ready datasets, it really comes down to this. SDTM is just an objective record of what was actually collected. Its whole job is to organize. ADaM, on the other hand, represents what the data actually means. It analyzes the data to prove if the drug actually works. Let's look a bit closer at SDTM characteristics. As a programmer, your job here is strict mapping. You're taking raw CRF fields and mapping them to standard variables using very strict naming conventions. For example, if the raw data says date of birth, you have to map it exactly to the standard variable BRTH-DTC. If you don't do this, regulators will literally reject the whole shebang. No exceptions. Now, switching gears to ADaM characteristics. ADaM is built directly from that strict SDTM baseline, but it includes complex derivations. This is where we calculate things like exact study days or add baseline flags for vital signs. It's all about adding that mathematical context to directly support those complex statistical models. And that perfectly sets up our final stop. Step 4, tables, listings, and figures, often just called TLFs. These are the final reports generated right from your ADaM datasets to display the clinical results. It's where all that complex analysis gets summarized into clear formats that the whole world can actually understand. Now, I do need to give a quick disclaimer here. This explainer is a highly simplified introduction. The official CDISC standards contain so much more detail. Real-world compliance involves these massive implementation guides, incredibly rigorous validation tools, and, some pretty complex SAS syntax. But hey, you now know the fundamental journey. We've gone all the way from a messy CRF to a perfectly polished table. And, as they say, next we move from understanding the workflow to actually building projects. So, with thousands of standard variables out there just waiting to be memorized, what does this all mean for you? Which domain are you going to master first?